What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TGODTALKS podcast. We're over here, we have good vibes only. And if you ain't got good vibes, you gotta go. So I wanted to apologize for not posting in over a month now. A lot has changed, and hence where I'm sitting at actually right now. I am in the old room where we had the podcast set up. I kind of wanted my bedroom back because I didn't really like sleeping in the living room. If you guys haven't seen like my videos, go over to my TGOD Talks. This is TGOD Talks. TGOD Vlogs channel. We're over there. You'll see like the setup of the apartment, but I'll kind of give you a rundown right now. So we had the couch right here with the little setup on the wall. You can actually still see the nail in the wall, but anyway, the screw. So we have the bed here, we got the little TV and stuff. We got the gaming stuff right here, so we kind of got the little setup going right now. I kind of wanted to get back to having a bedroom, like I said, because I just haven't had a bedroom that was mine in a really long time. And, when I was staying in Georgia, for those of you who don't know, I used to live in Georgia for a little bit. I was staying with family. And I had a bedroom, but it wasn't really like necessarily mine. It was more or less of a, guest bedroom. So I didn't really like that. But anyway, with that being said, we kind of got the setup out here with the LEDs, you know what I'm saying? But we kind of got like a bigger space to work with. Sorry about the low light and the screen tearing or whatever. Hopefully with editing it'll be a little bit better, but we're gonna do the podcast out there instead of doing it in here right now, or I might do it here. I don't know yet, to be honest. I can do it anywhere, to be honest. I was thinking maybe like setting it up here and having like a background right here so it's a little bit better of a sound. I might actually still do it in here. I don't know yet, but real life shit has been hitting, to be honest, and that's why I haven't really posted. So I'm actually going to hop right into this video. It's going to be a real quick episode. I just wanted to kind of catch you up on like life and what I've been doing. And I know the sound is different. I'm not using the mic right now, so I wanted to apologize for that. But I wanted to post something because I haven't posted in a really long time. And I started thinking about shit. And I'm like, damn, you know what? Like, I really should post something and hop on this podcast because I feel like I just have not been able to connect with you guys in a long time. So I just wanted to apologize. So hopefully this video will explain everything and you guys will kind of understand what's going on in my mind. So we're gonna hop right into it. No cuts either. You're gonna see the real genuine me right now, catching my breath and shit, talking or whatever. I'm talking a million miles per minute, but so I guess to hop right into it, you guys remember the story that we did. I believe it was maybe the second episode or the third episode. I can't remember, but it was dodging a bullet. So we kind of have a 2.0 version of that. And it just recently happened not that long ago. And I know you guys are like, what do you mean, bro? Trust me, I got you. I'm gonna like put you guys on right now. So those same people, I'm not going to mention those names just because there's no point to mention names like that. But, so those same people I brought back into this apartment, and this kind of hence why the room is set up as well, because I needed more space, to be honest. And I didn't really want everybody cooped up in one bedroom because I just kind of felt like it'd be stuffy. It just wouldn't feel good and it just wouldn't be comfortable. And that was kind of primarily the reason why I wanted to change the setup, you know what I'm saying? Because I wanted more space out there, and I kind of felt like, if people come into the place, we can hang out there and not be in a small bedroom that doesn't really get that good airflow, you know what I'm saying? And, it's better if I have like more people on the podcast as well, because there's more space out there and we can like spread out and move the tripod, and there's just so much better things that go along with it, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I just kind of wanted to make the choice to change the bedroom. So I ended up doing it a few days before these people had showed back up, because I actually didn't even know they were going to show back up. It was, oh man. So we're going to hop right into it, okay? So pretty much what it was is I was just chilling one day in this bedroom. I was playing the video game, as you guys, I don't know if you guys know, but I recently purchased a PS5. And it's been incredible, honestly. I feel like I do a lot of my time right here if I'm not in the gym. So that's kind of, it's kind of an issue. But anyway, I love playing video games, so it's not an issue. But anyway, so I'm normally playing the video game. I'm chilling or whatever. And then I hear a knock on my door. And I'm like, what the hell? So, I don't really talk to anybody, okay? I'm kind of a loner. I don't know if you guys can tell, obviously. Like, you can clearly hear nobody's here. So, I'm kind of a loner. So when I heard the door knock, like my heart kind of dropped. I was like, oh shit, like what's going on? I was like, maybe it's a maintenance or whatever. But I'm like, why would the maintenance person come over here? Like, no, it's probably not. So I peek out the window and I see a familiar face. And again, I can't really mention names because I don't want to put anybody out there, and I don't have beef with nobody. I never do. So, putting people's names out there is not good. So I guess just for the sake of the story, we'll call this person Jackie. Okay, that's definitely not the name of this woman, but we'll just say her name's Jackie. Okay, but it's not. Okay, that's not her name. But anyway, so I open the door, I see Jackie, and I'm like, yo, what the hell, like, are you okay? Because Jackie was crying, and I'm sitting there like, yo, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? Like, come inside. So, I ended up bringing her inside. We sat down on the couch. And at the time, like I said, the couch was out there. It wasn't in the bedroom. There's a reason why I'm saying all these things. So I go and we sit down and we have a long conversation with each other. Like, she's telling me her situation. She's saying that, she's out in the streets. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? I was like, why? And I don't want to put her business out there like that. But, she was going through a really tough time. And I told her, I was like, you know what? I have a really big heart. So with that big heart, I was like, you know what? Like, in my mind, I was thinking about the time before that I had her over here. And I was like, it didn't work out. Obviously, if you guys want to know more about that story, go and check that out. It's the episode called Dodging a Bullet, and you guys will know exactly what happened the first time, because obviously it didn't work out. But anyway, so I was sitting there, we're talking, we're having a deep conversation. Everything was going like good, to be honest. I was like, okay, this is a good conversation. She's getting her emotions out. She's feeling like she can actually, have a genuine conversation with me. So I was like, okay, cool, awesome. So, we're there, she's crying. Then I ended up like making her laugh or whatever, just trying to like lighten this situation, lighten the mood a little bit, and making her feel more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because like, again, she was going through like a hard time, so anybody who's going through a hardship or a hard time, it's good to be able to laugh with them, because at the end of the day, it lightens their mood, and it actually lightens your mood too, you know what I'm saying, when you actually help somebody. So I was thinking in the back of my mind, okay, yeah, the first time it didn't work out, but why not? Because I thought it was only going to be her this time, right? So I was like, yeah, of course, you can stay with me, whatever. You can sleep out here. Everything will be fine. Like, don't worry. We can get you maybe an air mattress. And I was thinking of all these things that I could do to help her and help her get back on her feet and actually show her where she could go, like, apply for jobs or, apply for like unemployment and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't want to get too deep into that, but, there was a lot of background of things that we're talking about that I could help her, like, better her situation, right? So with that being said, she had all of her stuff already. I'm thinking all this stuff is like where she was staying. And again, I don't want to put her information out there like that, but let's just say she was staying with somebody that was not treating her right. So with that being said, all her stuff was already outside. So I'm like, okay. And she had a lot of stuff. I had no idea, you know what I'm saying? I had no idea how she got all this stuff there, because at the end of the day, like, there was no car. She doesn't have a car. It's so weird saying this, but I don't like putting information out there like that, but I kind of have to say a little bit. But she doesn't have a vehicle, and there was no U-Haul nearby, and I was like, how did she get all this stuff here? So I didn't ask questions. I was just like, whatever. So I grabbed the stuff, brought it inside the crib, and my apartment's starting to fill up like a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, she had a lot of stuff. And I'm sitting here bringing in these boxes and totes and, bags and all types of shit, right? So I'm sitting here like, yo, like, this is kind of crazy. You feel me? Like, what's going on? So with that being said, the whole apartment filled up, and all this happened within the time of like bringing her inside and having that conversation, and then like initially going outside thinking that I'm going to see like a bag or two, but then it ended up being hella shit. So anyway, with that being said, we're moving stuff, and I finally get everything moved, and I set her back down, and I'm like, yo, like, how did you get all this stuff here? And she wouldn't tell me, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm just maybe pressuring her too much to answer a question. It's fine. I'm not going to ask questions. So with that being said, she actually like was cool, like we ended up going to get some food. She hadn't eaten in like 2 days. So I was like, all right, I'll be nice enough. Let's go get some food, whatever, So we drive down, getting In and Out. Shout out to In and Out. You already know that we be hitting that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, hitting that shit up is what I meant to say. But, anyway, so we went to go get some In and Out. This is not a sponsored thing, but In and Out, if you want to sponsor your boy, you feel me? Hey, listen. Anyway, so with that being said, oh my goodness, dude, holding this phone is ridiculous, bro. Whew, I haven't held a phone in a long ass time. My bad. I don't have my tripod right now. So pretty much what it was is, I felt horrible, and I got to make sure it's recording. Okay, cool. It's recording. So I felt horrible. Again, like I said, we went to go get some food. We came back, and on the initial way back, she kind of started saying like, "Hey, I got to tell you something." And I was like sitting here thinking like, "Okay, like what's going on?" So she said that because remember I said this woman, her name was Jackie in the story. So Jackie has kids, and one of her kids, I don't even want to put their information out there like that. I know I'm not using their names, but it just feels weird saying this out loud. But just, hey, all love to all of them, for real. I'm not saying anything, not talking shit. I cannot, stress that enough. But, I'm just going to put a little bit more information out there. So one of her daughters is pregnant, okay? And, like, I found out about the pregnancy with the initial conversation we had on the couch when she first arrived. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want to put it in there, but I have to now. Anyway, so with that being said, it kind of creates a little drama now. I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, like, where's your daughter? I asked her, and Jackie said that she was like, oh, she's down the street and she kind of needs a place to stay too. And I was going to ask you if that's okay for the time being. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? Fuck it, right? I was like, I'll be nice, whatever. So we go and pick her up. And when we go to pick her up, her daughter has a boyfriend, aka the baby daddy, right? And he was there too with a backpack. So I'm sitting here thinking in my mind, I'm like, why is this person here now? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell is going on? So obviously, I already put two and two together. I'm like, he needs a place to stay too, right? And she was just like, yeah, just for the time being. And I was like, you kind of putting me on the spot here, but fuck it, right? Whatever. So what's 3 people? That's cool. So they come in, they get in the car, whatever. He only had a backpack or whatever, he didn't have a lot of stuff. She did too. She didn't really have a lot of stuff. Maybe it was with Jackie and all her stuff, because golly, it was crazy. Which it ended up being that, I guess, all the stuff that, yeah, anyway. So with that being said, we ended up driving back here. They're all in the apartment now, and I just kind of come over here and I sit down on like the table, and they're kind of talking amongst each other out there, and I'm just kind of right here, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, is this going to set me back? Because I had my job still, and that's kind of another thing that we have to talk about as well. We'll get to that. So pretty much what that was is, I was working, and I was like, okay, I got to go to work. Like, that day I had to go to work that night. So I was like, okay, like, what do I do now? There's just people in my apartment that, normally aren't here. And this is, all my valuable stuff is in here. And I'm like, I don't think they're going to do anything. But the first time wasn't really the best. What's going to happen the second time? So I was like, okay, whatever. Hopefully it's not going to be too crazy. I just have to trust them, right? Pray, said a little prayer over everything, because I've been getting really close to God, by the way. You guys should too. But yeah, so I was getting close to God, and I just made like I said, I made a prayer over everything, and, ended up being good. So I ended up going to work. I was just I just told them, make yourself at home, try to go through some of your stuff to die it down a little bit, and we'll come back and talk like where you guys are going to stay and like what's going to happen. And we'll talk about that. And she was like, okay, cool. And Jackie said, okay, cool. Again, her name's not Jackie. So I ended up just leaving, whatever, and like went to work, did my 8 hours, came back. And when I came back, this is when things became a little difficult. So I came back, and I seen my apartment was like destroyed. And I'm not talking about destroyed with all my stuff. All my stuff was not touched, but there was trash and boxes and bags and like just hella shit everywhere. And I'm sitting here like, what is going on? They were going through their stuff. But at the time, I didn't really understand, because when you walk in, I'm a very clean person. I don't know if you guys could tell. There's literally like nothing on my floors. Like, everything is like put back good. And when I got back home, everything was all over the place. So obviously it kind of gives you that initial anxiety of like, yo, what's happening? Like, this is kind of crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna have to deal with this, right? So I had to take a deep breath and just be like, yo, what's going on? Like, is everything cool? Just a wave of anxiety kind of came over me, but then it like died down, because they were like, oh, we're just going through our stuff. I'm sorry, I know it's a lot. Hopefully you don't mind if we're using your trash bags. And I'm sitting in my mind like, of course I mind. The trash bags ain't cheap. So I'm sitting there, you know, I didn't say that, but I was just kind of like, okay, whatever, fine, they can use them. So they ended up just using a few bags or whatever. And yeah, it was just a very stressful time at that time, right? So they're going through all their stuff. They ended up throwing a lot of stuff away, and they only dyed it down to like a few boxes and bags and stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. This is easy to move. And I have a really small car. So just in case, you know, if they found a spot, we can just pack the car. It'll probably take 2 trips, maybe 3, because I have a small car. And, you know, we're good, right? So with that being said, I sat everybody down. We had an initial conversation. And at this point, I had been working already, and I was already tired. So I was like, hey, like, we're just make this conversation fast. Have you guys planned out where you're going? And they were all quiet. And I'm sitting here like, okay. And this kind of created an issue. And, you know, I'm not the type of person to create issues. I just want to know what's going on, right? So I was genuinely concerned on, like, these people being in my home and what's going to actually happen. Because when you live in a weekly, I'm not going to say where I live, of course, but when you live in a weekly, they kind of freak out in the office if you have extra people that are not on your lease, or at least that they know about, right? So I had 3 extra heads in here, and I'm by myself, and I'm the only one on the lease, and, well, quote unquote lease. It is a lease, but it's kind of different when you're in a weekly. But anyway, so with that being said, like, you know, they didn't know about it. And I was thinking in my mind, like, if these extra people are in my place, this could potentially create issues, right? Let me make sure it's still recording. Perfect. It is recording. I hope it's not like tearing, because every time I move it, I feel like the screen tears. So again, I apologize if it's like kind of lower quality. Hopefully it's good. But anyway, yeah, so they didn't know about it. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, what do I do? Like, do I sit here and, like, just tell them they got to go right now, or do we just figure something out? So obviously I was like, okay, let's figure something out. And, you know, when they got quiet, that is what the thought that went through my mind. And I told them, I was like, hey, like, we got to figure something out here. Like, what's going on? Like, here are these different places. And I'm sitting here, like, trying to suggest places. And then Jackie, she kind of got a little irritated, and I was just like, why are you getting mad? I was like, I'm just really trying to teach you, like, about things, because she's not really familiar with the areas and stuff. And I was trying to teach her, like, hey, like, this is what you could do. Like, if I can get a weekly, you can get a weekly. Like, obviously getting in a weekly apartment means you pay rent every week, like once a week, literally. It's like basically being in a hotel, but you're not really in a hotel. It's really ridiculous, to be honest. It's a lot of money to live here. Let's just put it that way. I was going to tell you guys how much it is to live here, but it's just a lot. And I don't really want to put it out there like that, but let's just say it's just ridiculous. I was going to say the numbers because I was like, I just dialed it down the other day, and it's just kind of crazy how much I'm spending here. I don't even know how I'm doing it, to be honest. So, yo, listen, if you guys want to hook it up, my Cash App is at the top of the description. You know what I'm saying? Anything helps, please, because I'm trying to pay my rent. Anyway, my rent's due in like a few days already, so I'm stressing. But anyway, my bad. So pretty much with that being said, like, you know, they got quiet, or no, she got mad, my bad. So she ended up getting angry, and I was just kind of telling her, I'm like, hey, like, calm down. Like, you know, obviously saying something like calm down to somebody that ain't gonna like that. So with that being said, it just kind of like, you know, it lit a fire in her for some reason. And she was just like kind of going off a little bit of like, why are you going to tell us, like, that we just got here, this and that? Like, you know, they're trying to pressure us and stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not pressuring you guys. I just want to help you. I want to, like, show you, like, options so you guys can open them up, and you guys aren't just living on my floor, because that's, you know, all of them are out there on my floor. Like, I don't have anything. I really don't have that much stuff. So, and the furniture came with the apartment besides this desk and chair. And, you know, this little ottoman right here, you know what I'm saying? Like those, and obviously the shelves and shit. But anyway, you get the point. Like, I don't have an extra bed or whatever. You know, that's just that little couch and the carpet out there. You know what I'm saying? Like my little rug that I bought. So obviously it just kind of made me stressed, because I'm like, okay, whatever. So at this point, it was like 2-3 in the morning, because I ended up working the night shift. And yeah, I was like, okay, we'll just have this conversation tomorrow. Let's just sleep on it, and we'll just, like, figure it out in the morning. I'm not trying to put a time limit on it, but at least try to get you guys pointed in the right direction of where to go, you know, like any normal person would do. And obviously, you know, she didn't like hearing that. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to walk away. Cool. So I walked away. I ended up shutting my door and locked it and went to sleep. I was just like, you know what, let's just chill in here, let it, whatever. And, you know, so I ended up waking up early in the morning, and they slept all day long. Like, I sat here on the game, and I was like, okay, you know, I don't have to work until later tonight. I kind of woke up a little too early for my liking, because I worked the night shift, but I was like, whatever, fuck it. I work at night. It's fine. This is my Friday, whatever. And, you know, so I'm cool. So I sat here and they slept until like 4 p.m. And I had to work at 6. So I was like, okay, I have to get ready for work now. So I ended up getting up. I started getting ready for work, and I got ready completely really early. It only took me like 15 minutes to get ready, 15 or 20 minutes or whatever. And I was like ready to rock. So with that being said, I sat down, I woke them up, and I was just like, hey, like, I'm sorry. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, piss anybody off when they first wake up, but let's like try a different approach now. Excuse me. I was like, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, we really got to try to set a schedule to like get up and get things done, because in Vegas, obviously you guys know I'm in Vegas, you know, things, yes, it's 24 hours, but if you want to get like productive things done, you got to get it done during the day. When you have fun is at night, you know what I'm saying? Obviously it's Vegas, but you know, you got to like get the productive stuff done and the most important things done during the day, because that's when like businesses are open, people are willing to talk to you, and like all that stuff, like real life shit, you feel me? I had to make sure it's still recording. Sorry, I keep checking just because I don't want it to end. But with that being said, like, you know, they were a little frustrated, but it was a little chiller than the night before. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, luckily we're good. Like, we just breathe and chill. So with that being said, like, this is how I knew that day was going to be like not so good. Okay. And let me explain. So, you know, they kind of were a little rocky, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to let you guys wake up a little bit. That's fine. So I walked out to my car. I was already ready for work. I was basically going to leave anyway. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll probably just talk to him again when I get home. We'll figure it out. So, because at that time, it was my Friday. And with the Friday, I have 2 days off. And like after your Friday, of course. So with that being said, I was like, okay, I'll just deal with it on my off days. That's fine. So I go to the car and I turn the car on. Now, when I turned the car on, I know how to work on cars, and it just didn't feel right when I turned it on. I was like, why did it feel like that? It kind of shook a little bit, and it just wasn't like, it kind of was like hard to start. And I was like, oh no, like, is it the starter? Is it like, what is it? What's wrong? And luckily I was able to diagnose it really quick. It was my third solenoid. So I have a 6-cylinder 2005 BMW 330i. It's a 6-cylinder, and my third solenoid was like, it was like misfiring. And I was like, yo, this is kind of dangerous, right? You know, obviously you don't want to like, it just, you don't want nothing to go wrong. So I was sitting there like, okay, cool. So I ended up like popping the hood. I figured it out. I have a little scanner. That's how I figured it out. And, you know, so I was like, okay, I can change this really fast. It was just the ignition coil. And I was like, okay, the ignition coil is really easy to fix. All you got to do is literally unplug it and plug it back in. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just get a new one. So it was super fast. So I ended up like just doing that. I went to the AutoZone. There's an AutoZone like down the street from where I stay. And with that being said, sorry if you hear like music and stuff in the background. There's really loud people outside. But you probably don't even hear it. But anyway, I went to the AutoZone. I skated over there really fast, and I thought about it in my mind. I was like, dude, I got to go to work. And I'm like, you know, I'm skating. It was still a little warm at the time. And I was like, yo, like, I'm going to be sweating. I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to take a shower. So I sat there and thought about it, and I was like, I'm not going to have time to get to work. Because at this time, it was already like 5:30-ish. And I was like it had been a minute, right? Like since I had got ready or whatever. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. And, you know, with that being said, it kind of, it stressed me out, because I was like, shit, like I'm gonna have to call out of work. And I don't like calling out. I'm not the type of person to just kind of quit and throw in the quits. Like, I don't like that at all, right? So with that being said, I really just took time and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll just call out. So I ended up calling the manager. I said, hey, I'm not going to be able to come in. My car's kind of having issues. I'm going to get a part right now, blah, blah, blah. And they were cool with it. They were like, okay, yeah, it's totally fine. No worries. You're not going to get any points for this. We understand things happen. Like, they were super understandable. And normally when you call out, you get points. And the amount of points that you get, you'll get fired. So, you know, they were super cool. And I was like, wow, awesome. Thank you so much. Like, it was amazing, right? And I was like, awesome. So with that being said, cool. So I skate over. You know, I'm in my work shit already, but whatever. I get all the stuff that I need to, like, you know, fix my car. So I had skated back, and then, you know, I grabbed my tools. And, you know, when I had came back initially, the people that were in the apartment, they like, you know, with me and stuff, like, they were arguing amongst each other, and it was getting kind of like hectic. And I was like, hey, like, everyone calm down. Like, please, I have neighbors. I don't want to get kicked out. Like, you know, and I kind of calmed everybody down and made everybody level headed. I was like, hey, like, just chill. Like, I know it's a really stressful time, but we all don't need to bite each other's heads. Like, it's really not that deep. I promise you guys are going to be okay. I got you all. Like, you're fine. And, you know, it kind of eased everybody, and they were like, you're right, my bad, whatever. And then they were kind of like chilling, right? Just doing their own thing. I was like, cool. So with that being said, I grabbed my tools, went outside. I fixed the problem on the car. I restarted the car. I, test drove the car, and everything was running smooth as butter. I was like, wow, like we fixed the problem. That's awesome. And the reason why I said that it was going to be like a shit day at the beginning is because obviously when I had turned the car on, it kind of scared me, and I was like, fuck, like here it goes type shit, right? But anyway, it's cool. So I was able to fix the problem. Everything was cool. I shut the car off. Now with this time, it was like 6:30. And I thought about it. I was like, okay, I did call out, but maybe I could just go to work still. Fuck it, right? So I ended up taking a shower, getting into another uniform, making everything look clean. I was cool, and I was like, hey, I'm just going to go to work. I'll be back in a few hours. Cool, right? So I go to work. They let me come to work. They were really happy that I was there. I was able to fix this situation. I ended up grinding out the day, and then, I came home, right? It was a great day. Everything was awesome. Now, this is when things become a little more hectic, right? Sorry, again, I have to keep I have to keep doing that. And no, this is not a promotion for G Fuel, but low key, if you guys want some G Fuel, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be some codes down at the bottom of the description. So if you guys want a tub of G Fuel, I got you. Anyway, with that being said, for like percentage off and stuff like that. But anyway, maybe it is a little promotion. But anyway, with that being said, so I ended up getting home, and this is when things just became really stressful. I was like, fuck, right? So I get home, I come inside the crib, and they're like arguing bad. Things are broken on the floor. Not my stuff, but their stuff. And I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, I was like, you guys gotta we gotta figure out what's going on here. I was like, yo, and I kind of assessed the entire situation, got everybody to calm down again. And I told them, I was like, okay, look, like this is not gonna work out. You guys are gonna have to figure out what's going on, because I don't wanna have to come home every day and, this be like this. And they obviously didn't like that. And then they started getting mad at me. All three of them were getting mad at me. And I was like, yo, you guys gotta calm down. I was like, it's not that deep. You guys got to figure out life, right? And when I had said those type of things, they were like, okay, yeah, you know what, you're right. Like, we apologize. It's just a stressful time right now. And I was like, I get it, but, you're kind of putting me in a situation where I brought you guys in from the streets, and then all of a sudden now it's like, it's an issue because you guys are fighting all the time. Like, I can't remember exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of that. Like, it wasn't anything crazy, but I was just being realistic because, I live in a weekly, and it is stressful as hell to try to pay for this. Like I said, my Cash App is in the top of the description. So with that being said, anything helps, $10, $20, maybe $50. Actually, $50. Yeah, that would be nice. Anyway, my bad. Anyway, so with that being said, so it's very stressful. It's very stressful to pay for bills and stuff like that. And especially when you bring in 3 different people who are going to eat your food, who are going to use your water, use your, just like things like that. When you live in a weekly, the utilities are included, yes, but I'm a very clean and particular person. So when there's other people using my things, it's a little weird for me, right? Like, obviously if I had a girlfriend or whatever, it's not going to be that big a deal. Like, she can use my stuff, but I meant other people, right? People that are not my significant other, right? And me and Jackie weren't a thing. So it's it was really strange, right? I didn't like people really using my stuff. So with that being said, it was yeah, it was just awkward, coming home and seeing people who are not supposed to be in your place, different smells and you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm weird, okay? I like candle scents. I'm a really clean person. I have particular smells that I like. I'm very particular when it comes to my space. I want my space to be cool. Even if I'm in a shitty area, my inside of my place or wherever I live, my home, even when I was homeless living in my car, everything was spotless. Everything had to be good. It had to smell good. Even when I was homeless, before I even had the car, I was taking showers outside in the neighborhood just to be clean. I don't like being dirty. Anyway, you get the point. So with that being said, I kind of died down the situation. I was like, look guys, this is what needs to happen, this and this, boom, boom, boom. And then I ended up telling one of the homies, hey, you can get this job. And he ended up getting an interview the next day. I was like, wow, see, when you put your foot in the door and at least give it a shot, it doesn't mean that it's going to completely fail. And if it does, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you at least tried. You know what I'm saying? So he did that, and I was like, my dog, right? And then we were cool. We were getting more closer, and I was like, okay, cool. Me and him are cool. We ain't got nothing to worry about. He never really got angry with me when everybody was getting mad at each other. It was just more or less of he was kind of stressed out. He wasn't really getting mad at me. I shouldn't have said all 3 of them, but the daughter and her were kind of getting a little irritated with with each other, and then more or less Jackie was the one that was getting mad at me. Again, her name's not Jackie. I'm just using that for the story. So with that being said, I just have to stress that enough because I don't want you guys to, like, or YouTube or anybody to think like, yo, you putting that person out there like that. No, trust me, that's not her name. Not even close. So with that being said, it was just super, like, uncomfortable, right? My bad. I keep, like, grabbing the phone because I'm like, damn, I haven't held the phone this long in a long time. But, hey, it's all worth it. So, with that being said, I had to check the time again. That's what I was doing. So, with that being said, it was just, I was like, okay, listen, like, I'm hella hyped he got that job. I'm not going to tell you exactly where he went, obviously, but, you know, it was a really good job. And I was like, yo, that's cool. So I brought him to the interview. Everything was great. He ended up getting the job. And then he started like a week after that. And I was like, cool, that's fine. You could stay for an extra week. That's cool until you start your job. And once you make money, then you can get on your feet and get out, right? I wasn't putting a time limit really on it until every day I would come home or there would be issues and it would just like be like not the best, right? But let me get to the point of kind of like what happened, right? Let me start summing it up a little bit. So summing it up really, like, it just didn't work out in the end. Like, he ended up getting the job. He started working. Everything was fine. It was like 2 or 3 days. They only stayed for, I think they stayed max like 2 weeks. I think it was a 2-week span of them just staying here. But it was just not like, it just super uncomfortable, right? Like every day I'd come home, they'd be bickering, or, you know, Jackie would be pissed off at me for literally nothing. Like I'd just be doing something in the kitchen and she would be mad, or like, you know, it was just like weird. It felt like a really weird vibe because me and Jackie were like nothing. So it was just really weird to have like a grown woman getting mad at me for doing something in my apartment. It was just weird. It was just a weird vibe. Like, I'm not even trying to talk shit about them or nothing, again, if they're watching this, but it was just it just wasn't the right time. You know, it just wasn't the right time to have like people there. And I know that they were going through a really hard time, but, you know, maybe that's what it was, but I don't know. Anyway, so pretty much with that being said, again, to sum it up, is, you know, I just had to set them down again. This was the last conversation I had with them. I was like, hey, this is not going to work out. I'm not trying to throw you guys out, but if you guys have anybody you can talk to like maybe get you to go over with somewhere, you know, just for the time being. And, you know, Jackie has other daughters, and one of her daughters is, you know, of age. So with that being said, yeah, I know you guys are probably putting 2 to 2 together if you paid attention to the, the beginning of the video, kind of just hinted that a little bit. But anyway, with that being said, go back if you have no idea what I'm talking about, but you'll put 2 and 2 together. So anyway, with that being said, So anyway, with that being said, she ended up going over to her oldest daughter's house or apartment, and I ended up renting a U-Haul. It was all the money I had saved already from like tips and stuff that I had at work. Yeah, I had like used that money for the U-Haul because I was not going to take multiple trips. Like, honestly, her daughter had lived kind of far from here, and I was like, I'm not going to take multiple trips back and forth. You know, I'm cool, right? So with that being said, like, I ended up, this is kind of crazy. So I ended up going over, I got the U-Haul. It was super expensive. It was like $100 or whatever. Like, that's a lot to me, okay? $100 is expensive. So with that being said, like, I ended up spending that, and then I came back and, you know, I got all their stuff. And obviously at this time when I'm moving their stuff, like, you know, their people are cussing and like getting super mad, and I'm like, yo, like, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? And the homie and her daughter were going to stay here. It was just Jackie kind of putting her stuff in the car. Oh, also, I forgot to mention in the story, Jackie had one of her other daughters, because she has 3 daughters, one of her other daughters, the youngest one, come back as well. I kind of left that out of the story, my bad. Yeah, somewhere in the midst of that, one of the days she ended up showing up, and I thought she was only going to stay a day, but she ended up having to have a place to stay as well. So it was like, actually ended up being 4 people in the place. My bad. I can't believe I completely left that out. So yeah, with that being said, it was just a lot of extra stuff, and I just said that, like, this ain't gonna work. Like, you guys gotta go. So with that being said, it was like level-headed. I wasn't cussing at anybody. I was just telling them, like, there's just way too many people in here. This is like too small of a place. Like, you guys gotta get it together. And I said it in the most nicest, respectful way possible, right? And with that being said, I ended up getting all that stuff, and then I took them over to their oldest, her Jackie's oldest daughter's apartment. And, where I'm packing this stuff, everything was cool. Boom. Sum it all up. we ended up doing that. I dropped her off there, and then her youngest daughter went back to her father's house, I guess. So I ended up taking her over there, and I guess the father doesn't live that far from me either, so that was super easy. So I ended up just doing that, killed two birds in one stone, and then I came back and I still had her middle daughter and the daughter's boyfriend. So the middle daughter, the one that's pregnant with the baby daddy. So they were still in the apartment. And at this point, he had just got the job and he was working, and you know, he didn't really have a lot of bread, but I would hear them kind of talk amongst each other that he was like, yeah, like, you know, let's buy this, let's do that. And I was just kind of like, like, this is not me talking shit about them or anything, but I was kind of like, okay, well, if he has a little bit of money now, maybe he can try to get into a weekly or something. So with that being said, I showed him the cheapest weeklies that I know in Vegas, and he had picked one, and you know, he was cool with it. He was completely understanding. He was like, yeah, like, I got this, like, I think I'm gonna be okay, and you know, I'm gonna end up getting into a place shortly after, as long as I stay focused and take care of my family, man. And I was like, hell yeah. And he was like, he really appreciated like what I did for them. And you know, yeah, we dabbed up. Everything was cool. Like seriously, those two were amazing. Like we never fought. We were laughing. It was good vibes when I'd come home from work and things like that. And this was an extra week after I had you know, dropped off Jackie and, you know, Jackie's youngest daughter. So with that being said, it was like super clean slate, you know, like I didn't have to order no U-Haul or nothing like that. I ended up just putting their stuff in the car, like one car ride, and we drove over to where, you know, we ended up finding the place. It took a little bit to get in there, but they were able to like figure it out. He ended up getting into this place, and then I put all that stuff into their apartment, dabbed him up, and I went on my way, right? Like everything was cool, like no beef or nothing. Like I'm still cool with him to this day. And this had been like I think this has been, it might have been like, this was recent. So I think this has been like 3 weeks now. I think it might have been 3 weeks ago this had happened, or maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. Like it was like super, super recent. So with that being said, you know, I have no idea what they're doing now. I have no idea. I do know that Jackie, she had ended up going back to her place that she was staying originally, because yeah, that's kind of, I'm kind of shaking my head a little bit on that one, because she wasn't in a really good spot, but I guess she didn't have a choice. Maybe it didn't work out with her daughter, who knows. Jackie was like real short tempered and really like gets like really mad at things like really easily, so maybe it just didn't work out. And I'm not trying to say like talk shit or anything. I kind of have a short temper myself. I've worked on it over the years and kind of like recognize it nowadays, and I've been more chill, but who am I going to get angry with? Ain't nobody here anyway. So with that being said, I just pray. I want to say this, you know, as God's listening right now and you guys are listening, I want to pray nothing bad on those people. I just want to make sure that they are going to be okay and be safe, and, you know, be able to let it work out, right? Like life is super difficult. I'm gonna be honest. Like it is super difficult, and I'm not even doing that crazy. It might look like I have nice things and, you know, dress nice or whatever. My bad. I had to check the time again, but seriously, it might look like I have nice things, you know, nice shoes and stuff like that, but it's because I'm a very clean person and I keep myself together, right? Like I know all this stuff, it looks like I have a lot of money, but I had to work for this as hard as I possibly could. And honestly, doing this, living here, is crazy to even think that I was able to do it, because I almost became homeless because I made a choice to buy something to make, you know, me feel a little bit better, and I had to work extra hours. I had to do a lot of delivering. You guys, if you guys know and watch my vlogs, I've done a lot of Instacart and DoorDash and all that shit, and you know, this is what made this happen, right? So with that being said, it was just difficult, and I'm already having to go back to the Instacart. I know you guys are probably like, what do you mean? I thought you had a job. So this is kind of the faster version. Real quick, my bad, I checked the time. This is kind of the faster version because I don't want to keep dragging it out. But I ended up losing my job. I got fired because I guess they had a bunch of older people that had been there for a long time that worked the pool. I worked at a casino, and they worked at a pool, and obviously with it getting colder outside and getting closer to the holidays, the pool closes. So with that being said, the people that were out there who have seniority on the people that are newer came into the casino and kind of took over all the hours, and they cut my hours and basically let me go. And I was super upset about that, and I'm still trying to figure out like maybe unemployment stuff. So I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because I don't have any money now. Like I have money, I have a little bit of money, but it's not like a crazy amount where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm rich, like I'm gonna be okay. So that's why I was like, yo, my Cash App is in the top of the description. Trust me, life is lifing, but just because life is lifing and things are getting difficult doesn't mean that I'm going to throw in the towel, and it does not mean that I'm going to give up, because like I said, I live on persistence, and I trust in the process, and I trust in God. I'm going to be okay. Trust me, I'm going to be good. 1000%, 110. With that being said, yeah, it's just that time with just with the people, it didn't really work out. And I pray that they're doing good now. And everybody's gone, obviously everything is okay. I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I feel like the decision that I made was okay, because at the end of the day, I have a life to live as well, and I'm still trying to get my life together. Maybe if I had a bigger place, like a house or something, I'd be a little more lenient with extra people. But being in this small apartment with all of those heads, like 5 people in this little apartment is way too many people. Trust me, like even another person is just kind of like, when they start bringing their stuff in, it kind of gets a little hectic, because you only live in one bedroom. Like 1 bedroom and 2 people is okay, but you know what I mean though, like with all those people, it was just way too many people, and I was like, yo, like this is not gonna work out. And I hope you guys the best, but you guys got to get it going. So hopefully everything is cool. I haven't really spoke with them. They haven't really spoke with me. I think Jackie ended up getting angry because of like the whole kick out thing, because I didn't really kick them out. I was just kind of like, hey, like you guys can do this, and they didn't really like the suggestion. And yeah, one thing led to another, and it just became hectic. So I just wanted to apologize to you guys. That's kind of the faster version of the story. I'm just gonna end it there. Again, I pray that they're going to be okay. I'm sure they will. God is in their paths as well. And I just pray that everything's going to be okay. But again, I just wanted to say this, though. I do apologize, even if they're watching. I apologize if it seems like I had probably put you guys out. It wasn't even like that. I just wanted, I just kind of wanted my space back. And I felt like it was just too much for the time that I was in, you know what I'm saying? Because I was working, I was grinding, like everything was going good. And, things kind of started like falling down a little bit, I noticed, and slowing down a little bit. And I didn't like that. And I think it's just because I kind of took the time to, help others, when I, in reality, kind of got to help myself right now. And, I mean no harm towards anybody saying that, or, in general. It's just, I really got to kind of focus on me right now, and just really get myself up off my feet, because I would like to get out of a weekly. I would like to get into some nicer places, and obviously I have goals as well. So when it comes to things, that happen in life, I kind of just attack it one by one. I don't try to attack it all at once, because your head is just going to go crazy. Trust me, even saying this right now, I'm thinking in my mind of shit that I got to do when I stop this video, because I got shit that I got to deal with the car. The car's kind of doing a little stuttering thing again, and kind of being a little weird. And I got some codes that I got to figure out. There's just real life shit that I'm dealing with, right? So it's just been really hectic trying to do content and trying to do everything. But I promise I'm going to try as hard as I can. And this is what I was going to apologize to you guys, and say that I'm sorry that it took me so long to make this video. I know you guys aren't really pressuring me to make videos, but I just, I want to be that content creator that you guys can go to and be like, wow, like, you know what, like he's really doing content for us still, like he's an amazing person. I'm still going to support him. Like I know you guys are going to support me still, but I love making content. I'm like jumping my words. I love making content, but it's just really stressful when it comes to like real life, because content doesn't make me money. And I know you guys are like, well, what the hell? Like, what do you mean you're going to just use this for money? No, it's not like that. I just meant like, I can't make this my full-time job, because I have really like, I'm living in like literally living day by day, like trying to figure it out every day. It's a nonstop process. Trust me. Like I'm super tired. I don't even know if you could tell by the way I look. Like I am super exhausted, and I don't even know how I have the energy to even go to the gym. I just kind of force myself to go to the gym. But anyway, with that being said, I feel like I've kind of talked enough or whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know this one was a little different because I don't have a mic or whatever. So I do apologize if the sound quality isn't the best, but at least I put a video out there for you guys. And this is kind of the 2.0 version, and I wanted to apologize again for taking so long to make a video. I actually have another video that I want to film when I get home, and I promise you, I promise, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I promise, pinky promise that I'm going to film another video today, and I'm going to post it again. I don't know exactly when it's going to be. It'll probably be next week. I would like to, or no, not next week, because it's Monday. I forgot it's Monday right now of recording this. So sometime later this week, I'm going to post another one of these, just another video, and have an actual setup or whatever with the mic and stuff, and like just kind of talk, because I kind of miss talking to you guys. And I know you guys hear me say that all the time, but I'm serious. I really do miss it, and I want to be back on my content. I'm going to try to be back more on my vlogs as well. If you guys want to know like my vlog channel, a little bit more of my personal life and things that I do on Instagram and things like that and all that, all my links will be at the top of the description. Again, if you guys want to get some, I think it's 25 or maybe 30% or 15%. I don't know what percent off, maybe 20% off. It's between 15% and 30% off of a G Fuel tub or anything on G Fuel. Use the codes at the top of the description as well. Support my boy Jay and support my boy Devontae. They really be putting in work and stuff when it comes to G Fuel. So definitely go support them if you guys want to get, an energy flavor. They have really awesome 2.0 flavors as well. So if you guys want to get that, definitely go check out their stuff as well. All the links and everything are going to be in the top of the description. You guys know the vibes. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch today's episode and be here and just kind of vibe with me. So thank you guys so much. And again, if this is your first video seeing me, I should have said this before, but my name is Trey, aka T-God. A lot of people call me T-God because if you guys want to know how I got that nickname, go check the first 2 episodes. It kind of explains like everything on like my origins of coming up and how I got my nicknames. And yeah, so we're just going to keep on killing it, keep vibing and doing my thing. So I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to watch this episode. I love you guys so very much. And I will see you guys in the next episode whenever we film. So take it easy, guys. Peace.